Okay, it's the last class. Feels like time flew by so fast. There's no major subject except for a new pranayama, the last pranayama for this course. I wonder if you have questions about everything that we have done so far, everything we have learned, or questions about something else that you are curious about? Anything? I truly hope that you enjoyed the course and that you will have lots of benefit from it. I know that it's compared to other yoga courses, we are very different. The contents are very different from the modern yoga courses. And I guess sometimes people wonder why it is different. I explained in early stages and probably already at the workshop that modern yoga courses structured like this, that are usually called teacher training courses. A large part of the curriculum is about physical anatomy, and I explained that originally, if you look at the scriptures of yoga, the old scriptures of yoga, there is no mention of physical anatomy at all. And the reason for that is because everything is energy. If the energy is good, the physical body is good, so there's nothing to worry about the physical body. And that is what you do when you practice yoga. You bring your energy household in order. You can immediately start feeling the benefits of that. You start feeling better, healthier, more stable. Possible ailments that you are suffering from, slowly but certainly. It's not a magic pill like a pharmaceutical chemical that you swallow and oppresses a disease. So slowly and gradually you heal, and you notice you get less sick after healing compared to other people or compared to your past. You just get much less sick. Another thing that people sometimes wonder about is, this is called a teacher training course. Why do we not learn how to teach? That's a very valid question. But the problem with teaching how to teach is that it is in total contradiction with yoga. Because yoga is designed, the purpose of yoga is that you find yourself. Self with a capital S. The purpose of yoga is that you connect with your soul, that you develop soul consciousness. The problem with teaching how to teach is that all 5 of you, when going into a classroom to teach yoga, will do and say the same things. Because that's what you learned. And I have seen that. I have, in the past, running studios, managing studios, I have seen teachers all doing the same thing and saying the same thing. Which means it doesn't come from their heart. It's not based on inspiration. They have just turned into robots. And our purpose is to do the opposite. To turn robots into individuals. Valuable individuals who have connection with their true characteristics. And if one day you start teaching, you will do that in your own unique way, based on conviction. What you learned rings true. And you want to share it with other people because you know that it's valuable, because it was valuable to you. Then why is this called a teacher training course? More than any other course, you will be a true yogi from now on. And if you feel the calling one day or now to share it with other people, you will know, you will understand and know much more about yoga than most yoga teachers who have a diploma from one of the modern yoga courses and only know superficial things about yoga. Perfect pose. Faulty alignment even, because they just follow a book where they say your feet must align and your hips must align, and they don't question the obstacle that you create with the alignment that your body doesn't want to move correctly. Nobody questions that, they just follow what they were taught. More than anyone else, you will be qualified to teach yoga, to share yoga with other people. But you will do it in your own unique way, based on your heart and not based on things that you had to memorize to pass a test. Which brings us to the third issue. Why do we not have a test at the end of the course? Because almost every education finishes with an exam. Why do we not have an exam? Maybe I have explained this before, but I will repeat, like I repeat most of what I teach you several or even many times. This is adult education. You come here because you have an interest, not because your parents told you that you must come here. Nobody forced you to come here. You came here because you're interested in yoga. You want to learn something about yoga, practice yoga. That is one thing. Doing a test, again, does the opposite of what yoga tries to achieve. Because everything is energy, unconditioned people have all kinds of blockages in their energy circulation, in their energy channels. And one reason for those blockages is tension, stress, nervousness. And one thing that a test does is make you nervous. It causes stress. What tests do is you're going to memorize things to pass the test. And when you just memorize things in order to pass a test, it's superficial. Because the goal is not to understand yoga or to understand yourself. The goal is to pass the test. You become nervous, your energy blocks, and that is the opposite of what we try to achieve with yoga. We want to remove the blockages, free energy, to flow freely. So we become healthier and more relaxed, at peace. So a test seems to be the right thing to do at the end of a course, but it is in total contradiction with yoga. I'm not against tests in other forms of education, but not in yoga. Yoga, what is yoga? The word yoga for me rings superficial. There are many people who worship the word or other yoga related words like namaste. There are many people who throw around the word karma. But often people do not understand the essence of what they are looking at. You can replace the word yoga by the word life. Because yoga is a science of life that started tens of thousands of years ago from the moment that people started asking questions. People transformed from animals into a species that had the ability not only to think, but to be conscious. And that is when we started asking questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What is the purpose? What is the purpose of my suffering? What is all this? These trees that water, those mountains, the moon, the sun, the stars in the sky. Yoga is a deep study into everything, but with the focus on ourselves. And everything you have done until now has already or will integrate into your daily life. You look differently at things with your increased consciousness and sensitivity. You look differently at yourself. You understand yourself on a deeper level. You start to understand more and more your true characteristics, your relation with the past, and also where you want to go in your future, called Dharma. Dharma is also one of those words that people worship, but it means essence. Essence of what? Essence of me, essence of you, yourself. When you get a grasp of your essence, you know where your future will bring you. And when you understand that, you understand that the majority of people in society are literally lost. Because where they are going is conditioned. Where they are going is dictated by the society, by their upbringing, by their education, by the government who wants you to contribute in a positive way to society. There's nothing wrong with that, but as a result of all this conditioning, we lose touch with ourselves at an early age before we even understand the connection with ourselves. Before we even... Children are pure and totally connected, but they're not able to think, they're not able to manifest, they're not able to understand. But before we grow up to the point that we are able to manifest and understand, it's already faded away because of the huge amount of conditioning we receive starting from the moment that we're born. With yoga, we bring ourselves back to our origin, to our original blueprint. Back to the child, the innocent child, as we were born, but now in an adult body with an adult consciousness and intellect. And you little by little strip away all the pollution of all the conditioning you have received since you were born. And you end up to the core of yourself. I always compare it to an onion. Onion has so many layers, and you can't see the core. But if you one by one peel away those layers, you end up at the core of the onion, which is a little pit. A mini onion is in the center of all those layers. You can't see this mini onion until you peel away all those layers. That little pit in the middle of the onion, that is you, your essence. For most people it's inaccessible because it's just, there are too many layers of conditioning that cover it up. Yoga is the path, is the process to little by little, gradually peel away these superficial layers of conditioning, and you will end up at your core. Inevitably. The path of yoga is not an easy path. We came across that studying the philosophy of the Kleshas, where we learn that people who develop consciousness must atone. We must atone for our sins, so to speak. That sounds a little bit weird, or maybe even religious, but people who are not conscious, they don't suffer in ways that we sometimes do, because they are ignorant. When you become conscious, there's so many positive aspects to that. And also the negative aspects in the end are positive, but it can cause, when we realize our traumas, when we realize our past experiences that have brought sadness or pain, misery of some form, that can open old wounds, it can cause suffering. Especially when we do not know how to deal with that. It is because of ego that we then identify with the memory of the pain, of the experience, and we tend to then drown in it. We have learned pratyahara in the first place, to detach. And of course, the last major subject of the course, the philosophy of the Kleshas, dealt with suffering. We have learned that negative experience, things that we label negative, if we develop the right way of looking at it, if we develop the ability to connect the dots, if we develop the ability to see that everything has a reason and a purpose, every negative turns into a positive. What is difficult about all this is that we are only human, and we have a tendency to fall into that trap time and time again. Because our first reaction is based on the human that we are. But if we allow a little time to pass, during which we naturally contemplate, because that is the ability that you have now developed, in quiet moments you contemplate, you connect the dots, you start to see things that other people cannot see. You start to see connections, you start to see the law of cause and effect at work. And as a result of that, every experience becomes a learning experience. Every negative experience, when we contemplate what happened, how it transpired, how we got there, and what it challenges us to do, we realize that what on the surface looked negative, in the end is only designed to make us grow more, to allow us to make another step or 2 steps forward on the path of our evolution. It allows us even to come to the point that when we look back at our misery, our traumatic experiences, we can even feel gratitude. That sounds weird. That sounds like a contradiction maybe. But when you see that your experiences, your suffering, have motivated you to do things you were otherwise not capable of doing or able to do, to discover qualities in you you didn't even know you possessed. That is how you can develop gratitude towards negative experiences. That we only label them negative out of ignorance because we do not understand that they actually can lead to positive results. The difficulty in all of this is that we have to do effort. When we are struck with misery, when we find ourselves suffering, the moment that we are conscious of it, and that moment comes inevitably, we have to step in and say, hey, I see what is going on. I should not allow this to take me down. Because you understand that it is ego that makes you go down that negative path. So you take a step back, you take a deep breath, you look at what is happening, and it takes days, sometimes weeks, before you have a good, clear image or good, clear grasp on what happened. Every day you will add a new piece of the puzzle. You think the puzzle is complete, but tomorrow you have another new insight. And you get closer and closer to the essence of what happened. That is not only how you end the suffering, the misery. It's also how you can live in peace in spite of all the things that happened before. And it almost starts to sound like a religion when talking about it like this, in this way. And it makes me realize that the origin of every religion, the origin of every religion in this world is a science like yoga. But the reason why our yoga, at least, is so different from the established religions, that is because religions have been distorted. Religions have been abused by governments to control people. And the origin of every religion is light, to bring light to the people, which you know means consciousness. But if we look at history, people were kept in the dark on purpose, using religion, by instilling fear, promising doom and gloom and thunder and lightning striking you from the sky if you commit any kind of sin. Governments cynically abused people's good faith to basically keep them in the dark, to oppress them. the opposite of what it is intended to do. It is intended to bring light, insight, knowledge, consciousness, liberation, not slavery. People sometimes ask, I go to church. The people in my church don't like yoga because it is in conflict with my religion. How do you think about that? And then I explain, there is no conflict. I believe that if you practice yoga, you will understand your religion much better than you did before. No matter what religion, yoga is fit for Christians, Catholics, Muslims, Hindus, everybody. It's universal. And if you do believe in a God, it will help you to understand that God better. It will help you to bring you closer to that God. It will make you realize that that God is in you, not somewhere up there behind the clouds. Because everybody has a little piece of that divinity with them. I believe that the key to life, the key to happiness, and also the key to success is to simply be yourself. Do not pretend anything. Do not lie. Present yourself in ways that you are not. The world that we live in is a world of illusion. Because almost everybody is presenting themselves in ways that they are not. There is a purpose for that, of course. It has something to do with what many people believe they have to do to be successful or to get what they want, to fulfill their desires. But it always leads to misery. In the end, it always leads to misery, it leads to failure. I don't know if I've told you this anecdote, but as a teenager, I was in a very dark spot. I was very depressed. I was lost. I had lost connection with that happy, naive, innocent, well, not so innocent, young child that I was before. That at the age of 13, got totally lost. When I was around 16, I was sick and tired of feeling so depressed and unhappy and isolated as a result of all that. And I asked myself, if I don't want to live like this, if I don't want to be so unhappy and depressed, what actually do I want? I asked myself that in a contemplative mood. What do I really want? And the answer was not, I want to be rich or I want to be successful or anything material. The answer was very simple. I just want to be happy. Then the next question came, and I asked myself, how do you do that? And the answer to that was also very simple. Just be yourself again. Don't hide anymore in that dark, deep pit. Come out and just be yourself again, regardless of what the outside world thinks of that. And how do you do that? I reminded myself, I remembered that some years ago, I was indeed happy. Life was not perfect in a big family, but then again it was. Compared to small families, there's so much going on in a big household, so much life, so much spirit. But we were poor. And maybe that's not even a bad thing. But as a child, you see children from smaller families that have everything they desire that you can't have. And for a child, that is sad. But I remembered why I was happy when I was a child. Because I was just myself. I was not polluted. I was not trying to be something that I was not. And that is what ever since then, that I asked myself those questions, that is what I have pursued. I had to go down a little bit deeper, and then I found yoga. And that completely changed everything. And it allows me, just like I'm telling you just before, to be grateful for all the obstacles, for all the trauma, for all the sadness and pain that I went through. It's all part of a greater plan. A plan to get you where you need to be in life. Not where you want to be. Because if you ask people where do you want to be, they will say, well, I would like to be on a tropical island somewhere in the Pacific or in Portugal under the sun. And you can achieve that. But is that going to make you happy? I realized it doesn't. It is not. What makes me happy is to have purpose. And purpose comes in unexpected ways into your life. You know that I have 2 dogs. I grew up with a dog. As a child, we had a dog. And later we had another dog. When I came to Korea, I soon adopted a dog from my neighbors who were just waiting for the poor little thing to die. And when that dog died after 15 years, 2018, in the summer of 2018, I vowed I'll never have a dog anymore. Because the dying of that dog was so painful. And I thought, if I don't have a dog after this anymore, at least I may be a little bit free again to travel. I haven't been home since 2011 because my dog got older and more needy. So I vowed never to have a dog anymore. That is what I want. You understand? What I needed is not up to me to decide. So 6 months later, at the end of December, a dog appears in the park. And the internet was abuzz about this dog. And I started to feel purpose again. I went to the park twice a day with water, dry food, canned meat, and snacks. And I thought, I'm going to befriend this dog until he allows me to take him home. It was a very restless and stressful time because he didn't trust people. I didn't know at that time that he had never lived with people. I thought somebody just dumped him. I thought that he had experienced living with a family, but that they just dumped him. Later I found out he was born in a park, rounded up after 5 months, living in nature with his 3 siblings and his mom. And he lived in a shelter until he was adopted for close to a year. No, for 7 months or so. He lived in a shelter until he was adopted. After he was adopted, only 4 days after that, he ran away. So he had never really experienced family life. And in the beginning, I didn't know that. And I know that he was bonding with me. He would eat, he would drink, and then he would just lie down in the grass and just enjoy my presence. But he wouldn't allow me to touch him, leave alone, put a leash on him. What I'm trying to say here is, you hear how I talk about this, it gave my life purpose again. And I took that year off to take care of him, but actually more to take care of myself. Because something in my heart had died with my last dog dying. And I was just asking myself, what am I still doing here? And then Pada came. The dog community in the park, they thought I was crazy because I didn't have an income. I had to pay the bills because I decided not to teach for a year. And on top of that, I was going to rescue that dog and take care of him. Okay. But when things settled down with Pada, Pada finally came home in February. I trapped him in a cage. Poetur. I trapped him in a cage with delicious foods. So I started to starve him and then put all kinds of delicious and smelly foods in the cage, and he went inside and bang, the door slammed shut. And in the beginning he didn't open his heart to me. But things settled down, and after 3 months or so, March, April, May, yeah, exactly 3 months, things settled down to the point that I started having room. I started thinking, where are his siblings? And what happened with his mom? I thought they were all still in the shelter. Or at least I wanted to know, if not in the shelter, then where did they go? And are there any photos or videos of them? And the shelter had visited me a couple of times because they wanted to know what happened with Pada and if I was actually the right person to take care of him. So I contacted the person that I knew from the shelter and I said, hey, do you have any photos of his mom and the other brothers and sisters? He had 2 sisters and one brother. Then she bombarded my cacao with like 30 photos and videos of only one dog. His sister, Bobby. So I replied, I said, is that all? Where are the other siblings? Where is mom? So she said, the other siblings are adopted. We don't have anything of them. They do, but they wanted, can you see where this is going? They wanted my attention to be on the one that remained because they knew that the only hope because that dog was so unstable and uncooperative. After Pada was adopted, she stopped eating and didn't cooperate anymore, very depressed, and they thought if there's one person that can take care of this dog, it will be Ron. So only photos and videos of Bobby. And so I said, okay, can I come and see Bobby? And I had already connected the dots. I had already decided that Pada and Bobby have to be together. Because Pada was not happy still, even though he started to become a little bit comfortable, but he never opened up his mind to me. And Bobby was dying there. Then people really thought I was crazy, because no job, no income, already one dog, and you're gonna take another one that is such a problem dog. But it's not about, for me, it's then that I really realized life is not about what you want. Life is about what you have to do. And how do you know what you have to do? Well, just like that. You will be presented with something that you need to do. And if it makes you restless and if it gives you sleepless nights, then you know that that is something that you need to take care of. It's not something that you choose, it's something that the universe gives to you, because it knows that you need that at that moment. And yoga changed my life, but Pada and Bobby changed my life again. I have no family, I have no children. And it gave me purpose again. It opened my heart again. And when they settled down, I started teaching again. First around the corner, 2 semesters, and then I came here. Wonderful owner of the studio here. And it just added another dimension. I was passionate again about teaching yoga. I felt inspired again. It made me yet again a better teacher and a better human being. And I met wonderful people in the dog community in Yoido because of Pada and Bobby, people that I would never have met after my dog died and I decided never to have a dog anymore. So yes, it's a lot of work, but I wake up every morning with purpose. Those 6 months after my dog died, I woke up having no purpose. Just with an empty, cold heart. So life is not about what you want, it's about what you need to do. And that's often not exactly what you had in mind. I vowed never to have a dog anymore. You know what happened? I have 2 now. They're now 5 years old. They've been with me for 4 years now. They're now 5 years old. I'm going to have to take care of them for another 10 years at least. They're healthy, they're strong. That means 10 years, no travel. But that's okay. My family doesn't understand. They want to see me. So I said, well, you know, you could also someday buy a plane ticket and come here, visit me here. Everything has a reason and a purpose. Maybe you can't see it now, you will see it further down the road when you look back. That is also what following your heart means. When you follow your head, there's no enthusiasm. There's no inspiration. There's also not the restlessness and the sleepless nights that come when you follow your heart and you really feel attracted to something that requires a lot of effort, that requires that you come out of your comfort zone. When something drives you crazy, if there is something that you come across that you know, if you do not even try, you probably will regret for the rest of your life that you didn't. Then it is something that you need to do. Not that you want to do, but that you need to do. And that will be your driving force. Not only with animals, also with people. It's why I teach. I'd like to retire and live on an island in the Pacific with a pina colada on the beach. Nonsense. I'm never going to be happy in such a situation. I know that. That's the ideal. I always say, I'm not a yoga teacher, but I'm very passionate about what I do. That is what following your heart means. We live in a world where many people do not know how to follow their heart. We do what we are conditioned to do. And it is a little bit soulless for many people. Gray and dark. When you start following your heart, I must admit, it is a little bit unstable. But there's to feel purpose with the things that you do. That's what life is about. I've always thought when younger, well, let's work hard, make money, and retire early. You know, that is so boring. It doesn't make you happy, not as a yogi. If you're ignorant, you can indeed enjoy living on a tropical island in the Pacific if you can afford it. Or in Southern Europe, in one of those nice countries with nice climate and nice foods like Greece and Spain and Portugal. But for a person who is conscious, you can live there, but you will find something that you need to do. Not what you want to do, but something that you need to do. Maybe you will start volunteering. If you can afford to live in such a nice place, under the sun, no cold winters like here in Korea, you will find something. You will volunteer in a retirement home or for sick people or rescuing stray dogs. You will find something that makes you wake up with enthusiasm every morning. Something that arouses passion and compassion in you. And that is where yoga will lead you. That is where yoga has led many of our former students. I follow some of them on Instagram and Facebook, and it's just amazing how some people have really carved out their dream by doing something special, by doing something that they really, really care about. Remember, yoga is a framework, very systematic framework. There is a sutra in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika that told us yoga is only effective when properly taught, but it is ineffective when injudiciously revealed. And that is the situation in 99% of the studios, is that it is injudiciously revealed, and people have a nice exercise, but they're not really impacted by yoga as it is designed to be. That impact comes if you simply follow the systematic framework, the eightfold path that yoga presents us. Everything else, you don't even have to think about wanting to grow and develop and follow your heart. It comes naturally. But you have to have the discipline to practice. Because that is what makes it all happen. That is what leads to the change in you. That is what allows you to connect with your heart in the first place. Questions? Yes, Leslie.
So ever since starting this journey, and I think you mentioned it too, that of course right now we also have to do our regular jobs and earn some money.
Yeah.
This is kind of part of life.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, the way you prepared for your journey in Korea was also with a lot of patience. And sometimes for me, I think I can see some ideas for my future, something that inspires me and that I want to do. And at the same time, of course, I have to do my daily duties.
Yep.
And then, yeah, sometimes it's hard to combine both or to stay patient. I feel like sometimes I have this urge to throw everything away now, to kind of like break free.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wonder how you maybe manage those situations before.
Prepare. We are part of a system where we have to, if we want to live in a house, we have to pay rent. If we want to feed ourselves, we have to, we need money to go to the supermarket and buy foods. So, if you want to break free, you have to first dive deeper into the system, but with the purpose of preparing yourself, which means live a frugal life and save as much money as possible, because it's money that will help you to break free. If you have some reserves, you can say, okay, let's take a break for a while. Don't burn bridges yet. Let's take a break for a while and see what I can do, where I can go. But all the while you keep yourself busy with your daily duties, you keep your dream alive. And you slowly but certainly put a plan together of what you would like to do next. And every time you become impatient, which is inevitable, because it is a slow process, building a castle takes many years. And you start with the foundation. The foundation is your yoga. But then you start putting the bricks together. You start building walls. But still there is no castle, there is no shape yet. But you add brick after brick, little by little. And at some point, things start to take shape. You see that there is a room and that there is another room. And after years and years of building, you put a roof on top, and then there is an actual structure, an actual building. A plan works like that in my experience. I'm pretty sure I told you that it took me 9 years to come to Korea. And in those 9 years I was very unhappy about the fact that my other buddies came to Korea within 1 year. In 1989, our Hapkido teacher left Amsterdam. 1988, our Hapkido teacher left Amsterdam. My Hapkido buddies all came to Korea in that year. I told you this story, I'm sure I did. And I just felt I'm not ready yet, because I need to, if I do something, I need to have an end goal. They just went because of, I don't know, the experience. But all of them came back within a year, some after 4 months, running out of money. And they all had to go back, sadly, to their old life. For me, it was going to be a life-changing experience. So I knew I have to do this, 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 and this, and all big things. 7 years of study with Ajita. I just wanted to finish the courses with Ajita, yoga. I went to night school to learn about business administration, because one of my goals was to be independent and to be my own boss. That means you need to understand how to do a business administration. So I learned business administration at night, and in the daytime I worked and saved money. It took 9 years, 9 frustrating long years, but here I am. It's almost 26 years I've been in Korea. I always say 25, but another year has passed. Here I am 26 years later, and I'm in Korea, and I did do everything they wanted to do and didn't get to do. I did. And in Hapkido, I got my 5th degree black belt, and it's not even important anymore. Well, for them it is. I left it behind, and it's totally not interested anymore, and that was the purpose, so you can move on. But plan. Have a plan in your mind, and if you don't, at least start laying the foundation. Your yoga practice, and put aside money. Start putting aside money so that when the time comes that you want to make a jump, that you have a certain reserve that will allow you to do so.
Continuing on doing the practice and the self-study, do you have other recommendation, or do you think that repeating the handouts and the contents you gave us for the next couple of months will be good to just really let everything set in more? Or do you have any?
That will be different for every individual. You know what I do with this course? If you go to Ajita's class, it's very basic. What I have done with this course is I follow the structure, but everything that I learned in the advanced course and the more advanced master course, I integrate into what I teach you. I throw everything at you that I have. It might be helpful to review the videos. The lectures are all there. Maybe watch the videos of another semester. The outline will be the same, but the story sometimes takes unexpected directions depending on the inspiration of that moment.
Because you said for next year you are not sure if you're gonna do it more advanced.
Yeah, I'm still not decided about that, because it's a 1.5 year commitment, and I don't have my own studio, so I don't know. If the owner after 1 year says, I'm going to sell the studio, and the next owner doesn't want you to use this space, or you know, something can just happen. That kind of, I don't know. And Corona is also a big influence. As you can see, I used to have classes with around 25 people in the basic course, and this course has 5, the last course had 6. This is all because of Corona mainly. And starting an advanced course, you cannot start an advanced course with a very small group, because experience from previous courses shows that people have a short attention span. And there are 3 modules that are equally as long as this semester. And after the first module, people just become impatient and they start focusing on something else. So people drop out. The people that stay, they finish all the way through to the end, but a number of people drops out. So if you start with a very small group, there's almost nothing left after the first module. That's just not. I don't know. I have to. I know other people also. They're really interested in doing an advanced course.
Have you ever thought about doing it online?
What?
Have you ever thought about doing the course but online?
That's not my thing. I've done some workshops online. It just doesn't work for me. It's just the chemistry isn't there. Yeah, so it's it doesn't work for me. I've tried and it's just not something. It doesn't inspire me. It just doesn't. I don't know. Maybe I'm old-fashioned. I know Ajita organizes Zoom courses. Well, Ajita's background is in marketing, and he will do anything. He writes books and invents all kinds of courses to keep people coming to his center. But that's not my way of doing things. Then unfortunately, we don't have an advanced course on YouTube yet, because I started recording classes only 3 years ago. So, in any case, when I decide to start with an advanced course, I will send email to every former student of the basic course. In any case, if ever you have questions, drop me a line. Anytime, until the day that I die. You can always contact me with a question, if you have a question.
Ron, have you ever felt that you opened your crown chakra? Have you ever felt that?
Yeah, when you do the advanced course, meditations become longer and longer. In the third module of the advanced course, meditations are 1.5 hours. And it is during those long meditations that you have those kind of experiences. It just comes very natural. Just try to imagine that you do your pranayama and then your mudra, and then you have like 50 minutes to an hour to sit there and concentrate and meditate, and that leads to very interesting changes to your consciousness. But you know, it happens spontaneously, and it is a subtle phenomenon. What is more important than opening your crown chakra is that your heart opens up, which is in fact that is the same as the crown chakra, because the heart is the physical manifestation of the crown chakra, so they go together.
I wasn't sure how to set my goal. Should I set my goal to like, I want to awake my crown chakra, or
No.
I'd like to follow my heart, and at the moment my crown chakra will open. I wasn't sure which one whether should I go, like.
You know, about those kind of developments, it's like the answer that Buddha gave to the Pandits asking about Atman. As long as you talk about it, it won't come. It won't exist. In the silence of your deep meditations, it just happens, just like that. And you often don't even realize that it is happening. So just practice. Just keep yourself busy with your practice. Do not think too much about the technical aspects, because that is a mental activity that actually blocks you from experiencing it. Does that make sense? Yeah. Next semester, by the way, is going to be on Saturday. And traditionally, our courses have always been Saturday basic course and Sunday advanced course. So maybe that will create some room that I consider starting an advanced course. When that comes, I will have to talk with the owner of the studio and see whether she can guarantee that I stay for 1.5 years, at least. All right, let's have a short break. It was quite long. I think maybe you need a restroom break. Let's have a short break and then we'll do asana. After asana, we have a new pranayama.